Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Toledo Rotary. Welcome Rotarians and guests, and welcome to the Dog Days of August. I'd also like to welcome our guest speaker today, Taylor Burciaga. Thank you. She's from the Sofia Quintero Arts and Cultural Center, and she is their director. And next, I would like to invite Chuck Mann to do a reflection, followed by Greg Fess leading the Pledge of Allegiance.
Buenos dias. Oh, buenos dias, Carlos. Oh, I tried. Let us pray. O God, you have made of one blood all the people of the earth, but you have also richly blessed us with a world of many languages, cultures, and traditions. We thank you today for the many contributions which Hispanic Americans have made and continue to make to our great country. Enable us to always to learn from and appreciate each other. Make us even stronger as one nation because of our diverse gifts and experiences. Enrich our minds, bodies, and spirits, we pray, as we celebrate together on this beautiful day. Bienvenido. Amen. Could be there all day waiting for that.
I haven't led the Pledge of Allegiance since Elm Street Elementary, Perrysburg, Ohio. I still do it the same way. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chuck, and thank you, Greg. I'd also like to thank Eric Fankhauser and Toledo Metal Spinning for being our monthly sponsors, wherever Eric is. Does anyone have any guests that they would like to bring up to the microphone? You can bring them up to the floor mic. We have one guest that I just met on the way in. Mark, you want to stand up? Mark Segar is a potential new member. He's been a member in, was it Virginia? And he has just moved back here to work for UT. And so this is his first meeting here. Thanks, Mark. Remember that this is the last in-person meeting in August. The Toledo Club will be closed the next 2 weeks. So next week we will have really interesting speaker, Tom Gutierrez. I'm sure I've butchered that last name too, but he's a St. Francis grad and he's an expert on Afghanistan. So how timely is that? The week after that we'll have TPS Superintendent Romulus Durant. One other announcement, the Mesa ride, the Mesa bike ride, after a hiatus of about 2 years now, is going to happen starting September 18th, I believe. That's a Saturday, and you can do a one-day trip, you can do several-day trip, and it's the way Mesa makes most of their money. So put that on your calendar. It's going to start in Findlay this year. Now I would like to introduce Maria White, and she is going to introduce our speaker. And she might have a few other comments, if she wants. Thanks.
Thank you, President Bob. So President Bob wants me to talk about all the wonderful things that we're doing in the member engagement, which is now the membership committee. You're going to be hearing much more about that, so stay tuned. But for today, you're going to be hearing from a wonderful young woman named Taylor Burciaga. She's been a part of the nonprofit industry for over 15 years. Her past involvement includes Viva South CDC and the Toledo Cultural Arts Center. She was the past director of the Maumee Chamber of Commerce and now serves as the executive director of the Sofia Quintero Arts and Cultural Center, short is SQACC. Taylor's been executive director for almost 5 years, but she's been involved with the center, she said, from the time she was a little girl running around since its inception. Over the past couple of years, she's worked to grow and collaborate with other organizations and market to new areas and individuals. Taylor grew up in the Old South End of Toledo, and after graduating from Bowling Green State University, she stayed in the area to continue her community involvement. In addition to her nonprofit background, her past career involvement also includes event planning, Toledo City Council, and dance. Taylor currently serves on the board of the Toledo Land Bank, the Association of Fundraising Professionals of Northwest Ohio, as well as the Broadway Corridor Coalition. The Sofia Quintero Art and Cultural Center is a nonprofit dedicated to celebrating and educating others on the Latino culture and on helping bring positive change to the Old South End. The center focuses its programming on art, cooking, and gardening, and is open to the community and the public. And if you've never been on their website, you need to go because they have some really amazing programming going on that starts in the fall. The center focuses its programming on art, cooking, and gardening with an art gallery, art classes for youth and adults, an event center, a community events, community gardens, a commercial kitchen, and much, much more. It's an Old South End gem. So please join me in welcoming to the Toledo Rotary, Ms. Taylor Burciaga.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi. Well, thank you for having me here. This is definitely an immense group to be in front of, so I appreciate the invitation. This is my first time coming to a Rotary meeting. The only familiar face is Mark. Thank God you're here. But I know Walter, I couldn't believe could be here today, but thank you. He was the one that, extended the invitation, so I really, really appreciate it. So I'm going to take some time just to share a little bit about the center and what we do, and hopefully give you a little more insight to what we do in the community, but also to what you can do with us. Because as a nonprofit, community involvement and development is definitely, something that we aim to do. Is it going? No, I didn't. Okay. All right. So the Sofia Quintero Art and Cultural Center, so we are located in the Old South End, as Maria mentioned. So we are pretty much on Broadway. If you drive from the zoo to downtown, you pass a bunch of colorful buildings. The fences are painted, the buildings are painted, the rocks are painted, everything's painted. That's us. So we pretty much paint everything that we can in the area. But we've been in the area for, 25 years now, I believe, and our mission is to educate and celebrate the Latino culture. So we want to preserve the culture, we want to share the culture, we want to celebrate the culture, and honestly, for me personally, we just want to have a conversation about the culture. If it's something that maybe I can better understand and you can better understand, maybe there's a platform for us to further that conversation. That's all we want to do. So how do we do that? We do that through arts, agriculture, and cuisine. So anything we do is going to be either one of those three sectors or all of those sectors. So arts, agriculture, and cuisine. We really try to stay in that form. We're not a social service agency, and we really try to respect that there are great social service agencies, but we are not one of them. We are arts and culture, which from what I'm told, we are one of the very few just primary arts and culture nonprofit in the area. So here's a picture of Sofia Quintero. She was a local activist in Toledo, about in the 70s and 80s. She was the daughter of migrant farm workers, first to go to many things, college, graduate, in her family. But it was very important to her that youth in the area, especially youth of Latino descent, be given the same opportunities as everyone else. She was also, which is kind of the big feat in the 70s and 80s, she was the first Latina not to just be on the Toledo Board of Education, but to be the president. So back in the 70s and 80s, to be a female and to be Latina was kind of a big deal. So unfortunately, she became ill and passed away, and her husband and two best friends decided to start the Sofia Quintero Art and Cultural Center. So over the 24 years, we have grown tremendously. We started in one building, and now we kind of span across 3 different streets. Most people don't realize all the space, I call it campus or grounds, that we occupy. So we own 2 large commercial buildings, 2 residential houses, a hall, a commercial kitchen, and we manage and own about 6 acres of land, all in the Old South End. We actually are spread out between Broadway, Crittenden, Maumee, and Walbridge. So if you're driving on Broadway, you're seeing maybe a fourth of what we span out to. You really kind of get into the neighborhood to see kind of where we are. But most people don't realize that. So this is a couple pictures that I'll go into a little more, but our 2 commercial buildings are right here, the top corner and the lower corner, our commercial kitchen, and then this is just one of our community gardens, which I'll explain in more detail as I move through the presentation. So, like I said, 3 sectors: arts, agriculture, and cuisine. So I'm going to go into a little more detail but what that means for us. So let's start with arts. So our art program is housed in the Jose Martinez Art Gallery, which is off Broadway. One of the largest art programs that we're known for are the murals, because they're so visual. So if you drive through Broadway and now spanning out a little more farther off Western and other areas, you will see murals pretty much everywhere. Frida was the mural that we got to finish right before COVID came, and then we got back to the murals this summer. So if you turn off the Anthony Wayne Trail on Western, there's a little, I shouldn't say little, but a local rug carpet store, and we did 2 murals just actually 2 weeks ago on that one. So our mission is to do 1 community mural each summer. And the murals come in different ranges. We partner with BGSU, we partner with artists, sometimes the kids in the area. Actually, there's a new mural going up in about 3 weeks. We haven't announced it, that only kids were allowed to paint. So it's getting ready to go up. We've never done that before. We've done mostly adult artists. As you can see, the paint has to be shipped in from California. Our oldest mural is 11 years old, and it still looks great. So there's a lot that goes into putting these murals up, but we want to keep doing them. It's become a very positive identity to the Old South End and to Toledo, which we want to continue. We also host an array of art exhibitions, so we work with lots of different local artists. We have an open art gallery space in which you can come and showcase your artwork and have receptions, and pretty much just an opportunity, especially maybe for those where art isn't their primary career. Maybe it's something they do on the side. It gives, individuals an opportunity to showcase that. We host pottery classes. These are adult pottery classes, so these are for individuals like you. You are the target market we want. So whether you're going to the Art Museum, the 577 Foundation, I'm sure most of you know that, we can do everything. We have 5 kilns, we have 7 pottery wheels, we have glazes, we have hundreds and hundreds of pounds of clay. But we have everything that we can do right there, and that's a way for us to generate some income. So maybe in the summer we can do a free kids community pottery class because you helped us fund that. So that's the stuff that we're really trying to work on. But we do pottery classes. We have a kids summer camp, which is so much fun. They get to do cooking, gardening, and tons of different art. And then we have interactive tours. And the interactive tours I'm going to go into a little detail. So we really love sharing what we do. And I appreciate the opportunity to come here today. But what I really tell people is you really have to come and see. The PowerPoint doesn't do it justice, and maybe Mark can attest to that. You really have to come and walk through the gardens, walk through the buildings. We have a dance studio that you won't even learn about in this presentation. So we encourage groups to come through and take general tours. But there's something extra you can do, which is an interactive tour. So instead of just going through the art program and then going on to the kitchen and then going on to the gardens, you stop in each of those and you do projects. So you may do an art project, or you get to go in the kitchen and work with side by side with our chef, and you make our own lunch, or you go out to the garden and you help with the produce. We have lots and lots of, whether it's schools, membership-based organizations, social groups, tons and tons of variety of groups that take advantage of this as a way to really kind of get immersed in the culture and what we do, and learn a little bit about it. So that's always an option. And then the middle part, I waited till last, is our tiendita. So in each sector, art, cuisine, and agriculture, we have a way of generating our own income. So I'm a nonprofit. I love my donors and I love my grants. I will always, always count on those. But it's very important for me as a director, and I'm hoping other nonprofits are seeing this, that we have to find a way also to self-sustain financially. COVID hit us very hard. Grants were cut tremendously. Donors could not give, which I completely understand. So we have to make sure that we have a way to create our own income as a hamster wheel so we can keep doing the community work, otherwise the community suffers. So in each sector you'll hear me mention, there is a way for us to generate our own income. So in the art sector primarily, the pottery classes are a way. Like I said, it's a way for us to share what we do, but also create income. And our tiendita, so our tiendita is our store. So if you were to go to the library, the zoo, the art museum, they have those kind of cool stores that just really have individualized items. We have the same thing. About 80% of the items in our store, we make. So we have artists that make handmade jewelry. We have our own screen printing press, so we have aprons and t-shirts and clothing, all with Loca Decal. We have magnets, we have stationery. We have tons of things from the garden sector, which is bird houses, bat houses, walking sticks, and then we have our own bees. So we actually have our own honey that we sell and share. So here's some of the honey. We just pulled last week over 40 pounds of honey that will stay completely in the Old South End, but sell to individuals such as yourself. I just brought a couple of samples here, some samples of some stationery. These are from the murals, actually, that we try to showcase. And then tons of jewelry, from necklaces to earrings, those got mixed up, to bracelets and t-shirts, so much more. Through COVID, we were forced in a good way to also now move all this online. So now, just like Amazon, you can go to our website and shop, and we can send it to you. But again, it's very important for us to try to find a way to fulfill our mission, share the culture, but make sure at the end of the day, we have money. I have to pay gas bills, I have to pay utility, I have to pay staff. So as not fun as it sounds, I have to find a way to do that so we can keep doing what we do. So that's our tiendita in the art sector. The art goes into so much more as far as dance studio and dance classes and indoor classes. I can't go on and on, but again, to come and see it would be a little different, but that kind of gives you a snippet of the arts. So let's move into agriculture. That's the second sector. So art, agriculture, and cuisine. So agriculture. So we manage about 6 acres of land. And here is a list of some of the stuff that we have. So we have a community garden. We actually have a city park that now we own and manage. We have a fruit orchard. We have a rain garden, which was the first in the county to ever be established. We have a prairie. We have an herb garden. We have a habitat garden. We have a brand new Ohio native grounds, which I'll explain. And then we have over 10 hives of bees local. That's just a part of the agriculture of what we do. So this is one of our community gardens. So in here, you'll see over 50 beds. And all this is produce, and a variety of produce. Lettuce and strawberries and chili peppers and cabbage, zucchini, tons of different types of tomatoes, berries, I could go on. But all this is pesticide-free produce that goes out to no cost to the community. That's one of our largest initiatives that we do. We are located in the Old South End. So our mission is actually cultural. We actually are not like a social service low income, but we understand the community that we are in, and we try very hard to make sure that we respect and work with the community members that are surrounding us. So some of our program you'll see is cultural, and some will tie into serving maybe the residents in the neighborhood. So this produce goes out free to the community, no questions. And I'm really proud because honestly, when people need produce, I'm really proud of the fact that we don't have a bunch of paperwork. I don't need to see your income statement. I don't need to know your residential status. I don't need your WIC card. I don't need any of that. I need your zip code and how many people in your house so I can make sure I give you enough food. And I'm really proud of the fact that we don't go into all that. I'm not at all disclaiming the organizations that do, because believe me, I understand grants and funding have certain things you have to do. I totally respect that. I'm just proud that we don't have to do all that. It's very easy to just get produce. The Old South End is considered a food desert. So I say 1.5. There's 1.5 grocery store in the Old South End. There is a small Broadway food mart, which is maybe the fourth the size of your Kroger. And then the half I'm speaking to is the Dollar General that has a small refrigeration of some cheese and milk and eggs. That's it. And we're talking about people that have to walk with their kids and try to then get groceries and walk home with their kids. Let alone me walking with my kid without anything on Broadway would be a feat, let alone groceries and milk and a stroller or trying to catch the bus or something like that. So we are so Old South End is considered a food desert, so a lot of our gardening ties into the produce. But land has a very strong tie to the Latino culture. Obviously most people will probably think of migrant workers, which is a huge feat, but even going back to the Aztecs of corn, land was a huge commodity and extremely, extremely important to that culture in that time period. So that's how we kind of tie into it. We also have, this is brand new, so you won't even see it. Over the summer, we planted a fruit orchard. We worked with Toledo Edison, and we planted over 20 fruit trees. So in the future, there will now be a fruit orchard free for the community just to come and pick and use as they choose. And then the last one I'll talk about, I won't go into all of these, is our Ohio Native Grounds. So this is just finishing this summer. We received a grant in which we were able to hire youth from the community, actually, to do this project. So they got to work and get some money, and we got to put in our last garden. This was on our last piece of land that really we had not done anything with. And this will be a mixture, the Ohio Native Grounds will be a mixture of produce and beautification. So all of our other gardening is purely food. This one is tied. So this will have a fruit orchard. They also are doing outdoor art installations. They're putting in benches. There's going to be a walking path. And then they're only planting Ohio native plants for a way for the local schools to use it as a way for education, because we haven't really been able to identify in our area an area that just has Ohio native plants that could be used, as an outdoor classroom. So that's something that we're actually just finishing literally in this week and next week, and then it will be done. And then our hives. Most people don't know we have bees. And again, I'm really proud, nothing leaves the Old South End. So we have someone on staff that comes and takes care of the bees. We purchased our own extractor. We jar it, we label it. Everything is done right there in the Old South End. We actually hire youth from the area, and they learn about the entire process as well. So one, we get to share that, and then this honey gets sold on our store or wherever we may go. So then this funding goes back into the garden program so we can continue doing what we do for the community. So we're really, really proud about that. This is a couple pictures just of our produce and our bees. I have to tell you just one quick story. So our bees, you can see we paint everything, and this is Horace. Horace is kind of like this, I guess, Toledo City beekeeper. He's very well known in the beekeeping area. And when we first got the bees, our master gardener painted all their boxes, because that's what we do. We just paint everything. So they're all colorful, and they had words on them and all this stuff. And Horace got really, really mad. He said, "You're going to piss off the bees. It's going to mess up their flight path. Angry bees do not make good honey. You don't want angry bees. They're going to be all disoriented, and they're going to get up, and they're going to leave." And so my master gardener, who's also my father, was like, okay, well, So anyways, 10 years down the road or whatever it's been, we noticed our hives were the only hives that sustained during winter because we don't know the painting, and then they had this fence around it. We put the fence around it because the bees were getting vandalized. It wasn't actually anything for like weather. It was because people were taking baseball bats and destroying the hives. But in the end, we noticed, Horace came back and said, you kind of got something now with this gate and these colors. You got happy bees, and it's winter, and you haven't lost any hives. And so now our master gardener kind of laughs. There's 2 other areas that do bees as a nonprofit, and they now have fences around their bees with painted. I don't really know if the paint and colors do anything, but the hives, the bees were happy. We didn't lose hives, and it all worked out. But it was just kind of funny that our color kind of really transcends into everything we do. And then last is our culinary area. So we did arts, we did agriculture, this is culinary. So Nana's Kitchen. So again, most people don't realize we have a fully licensed commercial kitchen, licensed by the Department of Health and the Department of Agriculture, and we use it twofold. So we use it, 1, to teach healthy classes, kind of the seed to plate mentality. If you have a garden and we give you produce, what can you do with it? This was before my time, but I have to respect the Sofia Quintero Center as an organization because they actually noticed where they faulted and they messed up. So they were growing tons of produce and distributing it out into the community. And what our master gardener was seeing was some of that was being in the trash, it was on the sidewalk. Pretty much he could tell it wasn't being utilized as produce. He saw it in the sewer, sticking out of bins, things like that. They were just throwing it away. And what he was connecting at our fault is we were giving them the access to the produce, and we were assuming they knew it was produce and they knew what to do with it. So our master gardener, again, a story, when kale was the whole craze, everyone dried kale and kale smoothies and kale vitamins. He was really excited, I'm gonna grow kale. Kale was all over the sidewalk. Nobody was touching kale. But if you know what kale looks like, especially when it's just been harvested, it looks like a weed. You can't really tell. If you've never seen kale before, would you know it was kale? And so that's where the concept is like, our bad, we're only doing, I kind of explain it as half of the equation. We're expecting 1 + 1 = 2. We're doing 1 + 0 = 2. We're missing a whole component for the community that's our bad. So hence Nana's Kitchen became a concept. And again, that's really to get the community, especially the kids in the area, into the kitchen and really teach them if you're growing tomatoes, strawberries, things like that, smoothies. We have an outdoor pizza oven. They make their own made tomato sauce, and they get to go out into the park and make their own pizza. Tons of berries to make desserts. But if you have this produce at home, and chances are you're by yourself with your brother or sister, and chances are mom or dad, aunt, grandma, whoever are at work, very high chances you're by yourself. If you have produce, I want to encourage you to use that produce to make a snack rather than go walk to McDonald's or the dollar store or Taco Bell. That's kind of our goal of what we're trying to get at. So that's half of Nana's Kitchen. The other half of Nana's Kitchen, again, is for crowds like you, cultural cooking classes. And these are fun classes. These are kind of like that wine and paint mentality. So you're coming in for a girls' night, date night, by yourself. They're playing music. They have drinks. It is so much fun. And every class has a theme, Venezuelan, Chilean, Puerto Rican, Mexican, whatever the chef's got going. And then you work with her pretty much side by side on cooking a dish. It's a blast. And I brought some flyers here that we'll share at the end, hoping that you'll come through and take a class. But again, you do one of those cooking classes with us. We get to do a free after-school cooking class for maybe the kids in the area. Again, self-sustainability. The nonprofit, we have to get out of the mindset that just grants and donors, it's not bad for us to make money. It's not. But the money we make, we have to make sure we put out into the community. That's all. We can still do it. So the culinary aspect is health and culture. And then the last little sub part that we just throw in there so people know is because it's a fully licensed kitchen, a lot of the vendors that you may see at farmers markets, food truck vendors, vendors that maybe sell at your local Churchill or Cashmere's, because they now sell to the public and they cannot really make food out of their home. It's now illegal because of their public. They have to have a fully licensed kitchen. So they rent the kitchen from us. They're not employees, they're just leasing it. Again, but they're helping me pay for the kitchen so I can keep it open after school so the community then can do what you do. But we have lots, right now we have, 14 vendors that come through that, again, if you were to go to fairs and food truck and farmer market, you would see all of those. They're all prepping in our kitchen because we've been inspected and licensed and things like that. So I'll wrap up really quickly. Ooh, sorry. So I'll wrap up really quickly. Oh, no. Okay. Okay, so community events. So I won't go over all of these, but pretty much we do art, agriculture, and culinary. Then we just have really fun community events we do that, again, are open to everyone. I'm really trying to encourage, if anything you hear from me today, we don't want to be just in the old South End bubble. We want people from Maumee and Perrysburg and Toledo and Swanton. We want individuals that just want to share or experience the culture. We want you to come and participate with us. If that's anything I can try to really clearly get across, because believe me, we've been here 24 years. I still get asked probably on a consistent monthly basis, do I have to be Mexican to come in your doors? No, absolutely not. And I know it's kind of funny, but it's a question people ask, which means it's in the back of your head. No, if you just want to be interested in the culture, that's all I need from you. So we have a pig roast we do. We have a harvest fest, which would be really cool if you're into gardening. We challenge our chef to only make a meal from what has come out of the gardens, and it's a mini fundraiser for us. And then lastly, Dia de los Muertos, which is a whole separate presentation, so I won't go into that. Day of the Dead, we get asked to share a lot about what the holiday means. So there's actually a whole nother PowerPoint. Coco, yeah, Coco, thank you, movie Coco. But we get asked to share a lot about what that holiday means. And it's part of our mission to really share about what it truly means. So there's like another whole PowerPoint. The actual meaning and historic insight is very interesting to what goes into this. But Dia de los Muertos is in November. It's our largest holiday celebration. It's 2 days, but we actually celebrate it for 2 to 3 weeks just because the crowd that we have come in. Our art gallery is transformed. We have over 20 altars that will be built. We have La Catrina, which many of you may or not know. She's kind of the figure of Dia de los Muertos. She is everywhere. We have art in the street. We do a huge dinner in our hall. It's just a very, very cool way. But after our big kind of kickoff, then we have over 700 students will come through and do that interactive tour I was telling you about, but specifically on Day of the Dead. They use it as a field trip for a way to use and learn about it. So I would encourage you to come and see the altars. They're absolutely gorgeous. It's like an art exhibition. It's free. We just open our doors, but it's really, again, a way to share what we do and, you know, kind of sharing such a large aspect of the culture. So as I wrap up, this is my last slide. So really, how can you help and where can we take it from here? So obviously, a nonprofit, make a donation if you can, but that's really not all I want. I want you to come and take a class with us. We want you to come and experience it. That's what we're there for. Take a pottery class, take a cooking class, go on our store online and order online. You don't even have to come to us. We'll ship it to you. Rent our space. I didn't even talk about that. We have a hall that seats over 200 that we went out for private parties. We have a chef on staff. We have a liquor license. We have our own bar. We have tables and chairs. I just had a huge party last Saturday. I have another one. I have a wedding reception in September. We host groups like you all the time for business luncheons. All the time we have groups come in. We have bistro tables, projectors, music equipment, decor. Our liquor license goes out into the garden. We have outdoor tents and outdoor lighting. Again, coming to see us is very different than this, but rent our space, take our cooking class. Maria, I'll ask you as I wrap up just to pass these out. I brought some of our flyers, and the Venezuelan class is the next one that is open. Thank you, Mark, too. And Mark has our pottery classes. But I would really encourage you, if anything, just please try. Come and give us a try. Experience with us. It's a lot of fun, I promise you. And again, check our website. Like Maria mentioned, we have the pig roast, Harvest Fest, and Dia de los Muertos will start coming up. So with that, I apologize if I went over. It goes really fast. But thank you so much for listening and letting me share.
All right, I know I know some of you have some questions, so please come to the floor, Mike, if you've got some questions for Taylor.
If you want to take a dance class, I would love for you to take a dance class. They're Fridays, they're salsa classes, they're for beginners. They're a lot of fun. Again, it's on our website. Come by yourself to surprise your wife. Come with your wife, come with your friends, whatever you want. We have a salsa teacher that comes. We have a dance studio. It's a lot of fun. We just had a live 8-piece orchestra come from Chicago 2 weekends ago for a salsa dance, and it was packed, and it was so much fun. I love questions. Any other questions?
How cool are you?
Thanks. I'll give you the $10 afterwards. Thanks for saying that. No? I'm sorry. I know it's a lot. I try not to flood everybody with this, but please, if there's a group here that would ever want to come and take a tour with me, even if you just got like a half hour, I'd love to walk you through the space. Really, that gives a much better perception of what we do. So please, yes.
I'm curious as to who teaches your dance classes, and I was a director of the Toledo Ballet for many years, and we're really trying to diversify programming, repertoire, classes, and maybe there could be an arrangement where our dancers would be exposed to Latino.
Yeah, so there's actually 3 teachers. So there is a Mexican folkloric dance. Those are the girls, mariachis, big dresses kind of thing. There is a teacher of a dance group here in Toledo that teaches James Serta. That's the folklore. There's a salsa teacher, which is Alonzo, and I can give you all their information. He used to teach at the Heights Bar downtown here, the big bar on top, and it obviously with COVID, but he's a teacher actually, I think from Lorraine, and ended up removing here. And then Michael T. Promotions. You'll see him if you go to a lot of the Latin fests and they do dancing on stage where they try to get the crowd involved. He does a lot of it. So I can give you their information, but one's traditional and 2 are kind of the salsa teachers in the area. But they've done private before too, especially Alonzo, where you can get a group together and he will privately coordinate a class for a group. Any other questions? Yeah. Thank you. Oh, our Day of the Dead flyer. No, so that is for the tours. So the tours, you pick the date. So Day of the Dead is near the fall, but the interactive tours I was talking about where you can actually cook and do an art project, those are all year long. So there's a part on the bottom where you write down your date and we tailor it to your group.
Did I understand that there's an actual Day of the Dead, though?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Dia de los Muertos is November 1st and 2nd. Most people only celebrate it on November 1st. There's actually a day that's for adults. Most people don't know the actual second day is for children that have passed. There's actually 2 separate days. So yes, I'm sorry, sir, November 1st and 2nd. And then 2 to 3 weeks into that is when we have the altars open, the art gallery, all that stuff. But those specific tours could be any time. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much, Taylor. That was an amazing presentation. I had no idea. I thought, no, you can't go away yet. Sorry, I don't really like kale. It's too tough for me. Maybe I don't know how to cook it. No, my idea of your center was driving by on Broadway, and I thought, well, that's all there is. I had no clue. This is pretty amazing, all the things. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
As a token of our appreciation, we'd like to give you a book called Historical Tales of Toledo, and that's by a past president of Toledo Rotary. It's a pretty interesting book. We'll also make a donation to the Polio Plus Fund in your name.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you very much.
thank you. That was a wonderful presentation. All right. I would like to invite past President Chuck Mann again to the podium. He's got more good stuff for us.
Again, yeah. Again. Am I the only one when she was talking about Day of the Dead, where Michael J. Owen's light was blinking a little bit faster when that happened? I don't know. You have to have watched the light. That's why they're closing for 2 weeks. 10 things. How many have sons? How many people have sons? How many people have 2 sons? Ooh, more than 2 sons. Okay. 10 things the father of 2 small boys knows. A king-size waterbed holds enough water to fill a 2,000 square foot house 4 inches deep. Number 2, when you hear the toilet flush and the words, "uh-oh," it's already too late. Number 3, the words Play-Doh and microwave should not be used in the same sentence. Number 4, super glue is forever. Number 5, garbage bags do not make good parachutes. Number 6, you probably do not want to know what that smell is. Number 7, the fire department in Toledo has a 5-minute response time. Number 8, the spin cycle on the washing machine does not make earthworms dizzy. Number 9, it will make cats dizzy. And number 10, cats throw up twice their body weight when dizzy.
Thanks again, Chuck, for both the invocation and the chuckles. Next week, as I said before, we will be on Zoom. Tom Gutierrez, expert on Afghanistan. There are 2 committee meetings today, vocational services. That would be Luke King, you might stand so they know who to look for. And that is in the Shamrock Room. I believe that's on this floor down that way. And the water services, Rob Crane. Where are you, Rob? There's Rob over there. Look for Rob in the Chelsea Room. Thanks again, Taylor. Wonderful presentation. Mark, thanks for visiting. Hope to see you as a Toledo Rotarian before you know it. And with that, we are adjourned.